Starting in 2010, women stood on the front lines of the Arab Spring uprisings. In Egypt alone, they made up 20 to 50% of protest crowds. Elsewhere, they helped topple leaders and challenged a system that had sidelined them for decades. But what are things like for women 15 years after the Arab Spring? The Middle East and North Africa report the world's widest gender gap in political power. Women hold less than 12% of political positions. That means fewer opportunities to shape policy and less access to leadership roles. In mid-2011, after protests there had begun, Egypt abolished gender parity in parliament. That led the number of women lawmakers to drop from 12 to just 2%. Later reforms pushed the numbers up again, but representation still isn't equal, and they hold few positions in the cabinet or specialized committees. In Tunisia, before the 2011 uprisings, women once made up nearly 28% of the parliament. But gender quotas were abolished in 2022. The rule change made it harder for Tunisian women to run and win seats. And by 2024, women's representation had already fallen to 16%. After Arab Spring protests in Yemen, a 30% quota for women's representation in parliament was agreed, but it was never even implemented. In the years after the Arab Spring, women's literacy outcomes have improved. 7 in 10 Egyptian women and 8 in 10 Tunisian women are literate. Yet these gains have rarely turned into economic opportunities. In Egypt and Tunisia, few women are active in the labor force. Those who are tend to work in lower-paying sectors, such as teaching, nursing, or agriculture, and they face a persistent wage gap with men. Economic barriers are only part of the story. Violence and harassment restrict women's public and political lives. In 2008, more than 20% of women said they'd been subject to violence at home. A decade after the uprisings, in 2021, almost a third of women in Egypt reported they had experienced domestic violence. In Tunisia, about half of women in a survey reported experiencing domestic violence in 2008. By 2025, domestic violence now accounts for more than 80% of reported cases. 15 years ago, the Arab Spring proved that women can ignite change. But since then, the outcomes for women in the region have made it clear there's more work to be done.